Easy. Freedom.
Confidence.
Independence.
Equality for all.
Equity.
Diversity.
Empathy.
Fairness. Power. I do hundreds of words and it means
freedom to have dignity.
It's also about inclusivity.
What is accessibility? Accessibility is everything. It's enabling, it's empowering. Accessibility is the invisible thread that connects us all. Ultimately, I don't see accessibility as a problem. I see accessibility as an opportunity and a connector. If accessibility is something that connects us all, then that brings communities together and empowers people to build things that are phenomenal.
From an accessibility standpoint, we are offering captions today, and on our live stream, we have ASL interpreters as well. So for those of us joining us virtually, please feel free to add comments, questions in the chat as we go on. We definitely want to hear from you as well and have everybody engaged in the event. So of course, we can't begin today without thanking our Demo Day venue sponsor, the DMZ. So as you know, we're all here at TMU today in DMZ space. So just want to thank their team for all of their support in holding this event today. So just to give everyone a quick idea here on the event schedule. I know we always tend to run a little bit behind, so we'll try to keep up, but just after we'll hop into a fireside chat. Then we have our startup pitches. So we have 12 of our startups joining us, 6 in person, 6 virtual. We had a couple that had to stay back because of the snow. And then we'll do our awards and just a networking portion towards the end. All right, now I will invite up Varun Chandak, the founder of Access to Success.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 5th demo day of ATS Labs. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all today. As Hannah said, it's been such a difficult day weather-wise, so we appreciate you making the time to come here. As many of you hopefully know, Access to Success runs ATS Labs, which is Canada's leading accelerator for accessibility startups. We provide unique programming, mentorship, support, funding, and resources that are specifically tailor-made to help scale startups building products for people with disabilities. And we do that through a currently 3-month free virtual program. And don't worry, the currently free part will remain true. I'm delighted to say that we have the great fortune of serving a diversity in disability. We serve startups that are across the entire spectrum of disability. We serve startups like Wimble, which is creating a personal support worker Uber. It's your on-demand team of personal support workers, just like you might call a taxi, you can call a personal support worker. We're supporting accessible gaming startups. We're supporting startups that are creating devices that help somebody with upper limb mobility limitations use digital devices again, or draw or paint again. We're serving startups in hearing, mobility, vision, neurotech, age tech, digital accessibility across the board, and in total, across 5 cohorts that we have run so far, we have supported 60 startups from 5 countries who have gone on to raise over $26 million in funding through 200 hours of programming and more than 200 mentors and speakers. And most importantly, these startups have gone on to benefit over 950,000 people with disabilities as of the beginning of this year. We are very lucky that we don't do this on our own. We have a great and extremely supportive network of global partners, collaborators, and funders with whom we collaborate with in a variety of ways. We have CIBC, who's a pride sponsor, HP, Microsoft, CBC Radio Canada, Denton's, Kite at the University Health Network, MyTax, and Matt Chapman. We do this because we believe in the startups and the entrepreneurs and the founders who are trying to change the world. We do this because we believe in their stories. We do this because we believe in their why and their purpose. We do this because we want to make Canada the world leader in accessibility innovation. Thank you.
All right, right, so next up, I'd like to invite up Angela Bonfanti and Juan Olarte. I'll just quickly read their bios, but we're going to head into a very exciting fireside chat between both of these great individuals. So Angela Bonfanti, who is the president and CEO of CNIB, she joined CNIB in 2011 and has been a driving force behind transformational achievements for Canadians impacted by blindness. With personal ties to sight loss, she has championed accessibility, inclusivity, and the rights of people with blindness, deafblindness, and low vision. Angela spearheaded initiatives such as the launch of CNIB Community Hubs, the development of the Accessible Canada Act, and she has catalyzed the development of Vision Loss Rehabilitation Canada. She led CNIB's COVID-19 response, advancing financial support for vulnerable populations, and became CNIB's president and CEO in 2024, overseeing the organization's mission and strategic plan. Previously, she held senior roles with Canada's House of Commons and remains an active community volunteer. And we also have Juan Olarte, who is the founder and CEO of Digita11y Accessible, which he established in 2020 to transform his accessibility consulting into a scalable business. With over 20 years of experience, Juan has worked with large corporations to integrate accessibility into their digital products and ensure compliance with international standards. As a visually impaired individual, Juan brings a unique perspective to the challenges and opportunities in digital accessibility. His passion for creating inclusive digital experiences drives Digita11y Accessible's mission to empower organizations with cutting-edge technology and expert guidance to make their digital assets accessible to everyone. So again, some amazing individuals joining us today, and so Juan will be interviewing Angela.
There we go.
Testing, yeah.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Hannah and Varun for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be interviewing Angela. Angela, maybe if you can tell us a little bit about your journey when it comes to becoming the president and CEO of the CNIB.
Well, I was with the organization for 13 years. Actually, it was my first day as CEO was my 13th anniversary at CNIB. I started just after being with the House of Commons and in a philanthropy role. I've had a number of roles along that ladder, and I think this is my last one at CNIB. I think there's not one after me. But before that, I've been part of the CNIB family for a very long time. My father has retinitis pigmentosa. This is an eye condition that most working age adults have when they're experiencing vision loss. It's the most popular one, I would say, as it has thousands of various streams. So there are some people that can live with a high degree of functional vision most of their lives, well up until their seniors' ages, and just have a bit of night blindness. There are others that have more onset, sudden total vision loss, and that was my father. So when I was about 5, he went to bed one night, woke up, and asked my mother to turn the lights on or to open up the blinds, and blinds were fully open. So, as a child, you get on a journey with a father that has a disability, watching him trying to navigate a world that was not designed for him, where he was not a single consideration. And that really that did something to me. I became an everyday advocate without even knowing what the word advocacy means. I would very often shoot from the hip and tell the bus drivers that let my dad get lost the night before, that they have a responsibility to call out the stops. And I'd finally get the bus driver to call out the stops, and then the bus driver would switch routes. And then we have a new bus driver that we'd have to have a chat with. So I would get frustrated with the everyday advocacy without having any systemic change. And that led me to the House of Commons, just to go and learn how grassroots issues actually can become national policy changes. And so the CNIB is very much a part of my life. It's 106 years old. I'm the 8th president in 106 years, and I'm the first female. So it's an absolute honor to take my journey and have me here at this point in time.
Thank you so much. Being a member, client of the CNIB, I can attest how crucial their support is. I know coming from Colombia, it was very difficult not knowing what assistive technology was. And I can say without the CNIB, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I really have a company. And Angela, on that, for people with disabilities or even companies who want to start up companies in the accessibility space, has been really difficult.
Yeah.
in Canada. What do you think organizations, government, or even CNIB can do to enable companies to try or to be able to provide more or become successful when it comes to accessibility and creating a startup?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. I think in our experience, still far too many companies, even government in many ways, see accessibility as a niche issue. They don't see it as a benefit to all, and we know that can't be further than the truth. So where we have seen some success at CNIB, with small, medium, and large-sized businesses in particular, some of them on the screen are sponsors actually, is when we worked with them on the employment side of things. So CNIB, 106 years old, employment has been our biggest issue. We still have the lowest employment rate amongst the disability community space today, sitting at under 28% of people employed. And so we would run things like resume boot camps and mock interviews, but without a job to offer, that support meant absolutely nothing to the community that we served. And I would see my father in and out of these programs as well. He has 6 post-secondary degrees. He's never had a full-time job. Only gig-based work, and he did very well for himself, I'll give him that, but always working multiple jobs to support his family, and that was because accessibility just wasn't top of mind. So we took that that experience and knowledge, and we created a new program 6 years ago called Come to Work. And we thought, instead of running these haphazard boot camps and programs, why don't we look to some of Canada's top corporations, leverage CNIB's brand as one of Canada's longest-standing trusted charities, and ask them to work with us on a new employment venture. And that was simply that CNIB would own the programmatic element of employment readiness. So we would have various stages of employment readiness with members of what we call a talent pool. We were very purposeful with our language. It wasn't just a group of people who are blind, low vision, or deafblind who'd like to seek work, please. It was a group of talented people who were ready to join or rejoin the workforce, depending on their journey. And all we asked the corporations to do was to guarantee an interview if we found a match. Not to guarantee the job, not to subsidize the job, but to guarantee the interview. And we had a pilot with Deloitte 6 years ago, and one of our candidates was the successful candidate who moved on to the full-time job and is still there today. And so we thought, aha, we're on to something. The relationship with Deloitte changed significantly as soon as there was somebody with vision loss working on their team. They could see the benefits from an awareness standpoint, from an accessibility standpoint, that brought to many people. For example, lovely glass doors that everybody's walking into. Well, it took one person with vision loss to say, hey, that's not going to work for me. So they put up, the appropriate frosted glass stickers. All of a sudden, everyone else is loving the fact that they're no longer walking into the doors. So, if you find a way and now we have a few hundred corporates that are working with us. We have over 1,500 members in our talent pool. We've helped to secure hundreds of jobs in the last 5 years. And every one of those employers, because they have the experience now with somebody with a cane or a guide dog or just assistive technology, they see accessibility differently. They see that the accommodation, so to speak, for the individual who came from the CNIB talent pool is actually helping everybody else as well. And so those relationships are now starting to grow into doing more for accessibility because of the personal experience. So I think this is a long way to say, you've got to make it not niche, and you've got to put it in their face. Otherwise, it's going to be treated like any other opportunity that could potentially drain the finances and hurt the bottom line.
I actually love that answer. And I know, again, when I first started at CNIB 24, 25 years ago, a long time ago.
You were like 4.
I wish I was 4. I wish. I was doing a job finding club, and it was because of that, because of the support of the CNIB, I was able to get into a financial institution, not CIBC, but I was able to get in there because of that. And now I understand how difficult it is for people with disabilities when they need to have support. Now, that's talking from the employment portion of it. But if you really want to go and start a business, it's always difficult. So maybe, Angela, if you can talk to us a little bit of how the CNIB partnered up with organizations such as Accessercise and ATS Labs to help those people who want to create businesses or startups to either help people with disabilities or who themselves have a disability?
Thanks for the question, Juan. I think one of the things we can benefit from in being around for over 100 years is so many stories, so much lived experience in our walls, in our sales, in our systems, in our offices, as our volunteers. And so often what CNIB does is open doors. And that really is the premise behind our National Employment Program, which has a portion of it for entrepreneurs, which is called the Venture Pool. And that's where we try to leverage CNIB corporate contacts, funders, donors, friends, other people from the community to help give advice to those who are in the startup business. We work with government as well. I would argue we could do a lot more. This government could do a lot more. The federal government could do a lot more actually in this space, especially with a bill that we worked so hard to pass and to receive royal assent. And I would argue we're, as an organization, as part of the disability community, we're not exactly overwhelmed with the changes that we've seen since Bill C-81 was enacted. But I think our job is to make connections and to ensure that the community who's putting their hands up to be in the startup space is getting as much exposure as possible from other potential investors, but primarily giving the feedback of the lived experience. And I think that goes a long way for us because we have the stories, we have the people, and I think we have solutions. So we're not the answer. Certainly we're not the solution, but we take the position that we can help to open doors to help startups start in the right way, be connected to the right connections, and work with groups like ATS to ensure that you're part of our mandate as well.
And I have to, again, attest to the fact that CNIB has been wonderful for us as well. Being part of the side loss community and how much CNIB has really tried to help us understanding that we don't only are a business, but we want to provide support to other organizations and to people with disabilities. With that said, what are some advices and you will give to people who are either trying to start a business or thinking, oh, maybe I have a solution, maybe I have a disability, what can I actually do? Maybe an advice you can provide?
Yeah, I think some of the things, so we were in this space, I would say even 5 years ago, where we would find, maybe a handful of entrepreneurs that would be wanting to get in the accessible tech space 6 years ago, so to speak. And they were few and far between. And so it was, and the technology was really chunky and it was really slow and it was really expensive. And so we were exerting a lot of resources to help these, handful of people that would come forward saying, hey, I'd like to start a business in the accessibility tech space. And so today that's not the issue. Now what we have is an abundance of people in this space. So my advice is do your research. I meet with a number of really, excited, innovative individuals from across the country that have the next best idea on a wearable that's going to help you navigate internal and external spaces. But there's dozens of them. So, I feel like it's starting to get fragmented, and I don't want to discourage people because clearly we haven't figured out the answer because we're not in a space where CNIB can say, yes, this one wearable is going to help do most of the things, and then here are the other 3 that we recommend as well because we take our brand very seriously. But do your research and make sure that where you can partner to enhance existing technology, existing concepts that are near that finish line, do a value add and join a team as opposed to going out on your own because it's hard. And it's a saturated market today, and I don't know which is worse, quite frankly, from as not having the technology and beating down doors or having too much of it so that it's diluted at times and hard for us to put back our support.
I agree with that, and some of the issues I've seen in the community is like right now there are a lot of companies trying to provide services or specific products for people with disabilities. A lot of times they are lacking in terms of being able to engage with community or people with disabilities. So
yes, that's the other one. How you can't really come up with the next best thing for people who are blind if you have zero input from the blindness community. You'd be surprised how many people come, oh, if I were blind, I would love this. I appreciate the sentiment, but unless you've actually canvassed a number of people and you have lived experience as part of your team, it's not going to fly.
That's true, and then to that, I know, but can you provide a little bit of an insight of how CNIB can also help organizations who will want to connect with people with disabilities? so they can learn more about?
Absolutely. We have offices all across the country. We're our collective staff of over 1,000. We have about 4,000 volunteers that work with us, and we try to get to everywhere. We do tons of awareness training. We have microsites. If you just go to CNIB.ca, if you're an employer and you're interested, it's come to work. Will be a microsite that you'll be connected to right away. We have lots of chats with corporates, and we bring people with a lived experience to schools, to places of work, to the medical space, to hospitals. Believe it or not, doctors have a lot of learning to do when it comes to delivering medical news to people with disabilities, especially in the sight loss space. But we have a number of ambassadors that can come and share with you, the benefits, the how to, and to dispel some myths around engaging in our community, especially around assistive tech and costs. The playing field has never been as level as it is today when it comes to the technology that people need with vision loss, for the most part, to get around. I remember my father was looking for work. Part of the reason was that he was walking around with a price tag on his head. He needed a large, chunky thing called a CCTV, with a big screen and the sliding tray underneath it, so that he could, at that point, he could see very large numbers from very much zoomed in. And those were $4,000. When he lost all of his sight and he went to a voice dictation on his computer, it's a system called Kurzweil JAWS, that's another $4,000. So, yes, employers are going to consider how much it's going to cost to recruit you. Today, it's a smartphone. So, there really isn't an excuse as far as I'm concerned. So we can provide that information, and I think that goes a long way. So we have tons of information to access from. We can do it online. We can create something bespoke depending on your need, and we are all over the country. And we're bilingual, but we also offer services in 9 other languages as well.
That's great. And I'm just going to check for time.
Yeah. Oh,
Perfect.
sure.
Awesome. So
time flies.
And then, okay, so right now we are at an event, Demo Day, where we're going to have organizations or companies providing or creating technology. How do you think events such as this, like Demo Day, can foster collaboration among different industries or organizations?
Well, I mean, there's such great potential here, and it really depends on who's in the audience, right? And social media is a huge a powerhouse tool that we found. It's about the stories that you tell. So I think if the startups are identifying the barrier, identifying the solution, and helping to bring the audience into what they can do to support. These events can be game changers. You have an audience live and in perpetuity, because these things will be recorded, and you've got the right stakeholders in the room. So the more of these we can do, the better, and the more seats filled, the better, and the more diverse the network in this room, the better. So we're very happy to be here to support this effort, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's up next.
Thank you so much. Again, it's been a pleasure.
The pressure's all mine. Thank you for the opportunity.
So yeah, we'll just open it up now to audience Q&A. If anybody has any questions, feel free to raise a hand. I can bring a microphone to you.
What's the single greatest innovation that you have seen in the last 3 years in your particular space?
You're going to laugh. Well, the last 10 years, Siri, because that has been an absolute game changer for our community. And I would say AI in the last couple of years is going to be a disruptor in all the best ways, especially when you think about how inaccessible documents are. Take an Excel document, for example. Technically, it's accessible. It's not very usable when you're trying to use it with a screen reader or voiceover technology, because you're trying to follow through thousands of cells. AI can come in and give you that intuitive Q&A so that you can get your head around a budget if you're a professional with vision loss, and total vision loss in particular in business. So I think Siri started it all, and it was often the technologies that are created to make lives of people who are sighted more convenient are accidentally the most game-changing technologies for people with vision loss. So I think that's it, and we're only scratching the surface. I can't wait to see what's next. Thank you for the question.
Hi there. So my question to you was more along the lines around hiring. Like you spoke about earlier about interviews like with the program of CNIB, getting people to at least the first interview. I guess I'm kind of wondering what practices that you recommend for all of us as like founders and the corporations that are in here and whatnot. What are some of the practices that you recommend to us, like so that we can increase the hiring of people with disabilities, so that more people can have access to full-time jobs?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of bias in interviewing, and that's the reason why we have to exist. I would love to not have to have a CNIB employment program and just know that people can get into the various, interview queues and not be labeled or identified as someone who's special and therefore needs to be treated differently. So I would say adopt any of the sort of technologies out there that sort of strip out perhaps pieces of the bias in resumes. I would say work with organizations like Come to Work, with like CNIB. There are mainstream organizations that help in that space as well. But I think if you, at the very least, when you're posting, make sure you're in the language that you use, you're looking for people with diverse lived experience, and that you're calling out people with disabilities right on the forefront. Look at the listservs that we may have in accessible sports or accessible community programs, and post the jobs there. So we have the same issue. We want to make sure we have a diverse workforce that is continuously contributing to this 106-year-old organization becoming more and more progressive. The easiest thing, it's the easiest thing to just put it out there that here's who we're looking for. If you have a disability, we're looking for you. If you come from a marginalized community, we're looking for you. And so often that's enough to feel like that you would be accepted and that you would be put in a fair process. It really doesn't take much.
If I may, one thing that I would also recommend is ensure that whatever output or outreach you're going to have is accessible.
Correct.
Because a lot of times, if it's not accessible, people with disabilities won't be able to apply to it.
Yeah, we have so many issues with the call out being accessible, but then the actual application form being a JPEG and completely innavigable from any sort of accessible tech. Yes.
Another quick question. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs in the room, and you have experience of government, public sector. Are there government agencies these guys should be talking to for funding, or is that going to be an endless journey which will not lead to a check at the end of it? Any suggestions for them? Because many entrepreneurs, of course, will not think about going to the public sector directly for funding beyond initial grants from universities. But scaling capital, is there anybody or anything they should be doing in that space?
Well, I think that's what ultimately we're trying to work through. I know there's one working committee as part of the Accessible Canada Act that's addressing this partly. I would say groups like Startups Canada and pieces are already receiving quite a bit of funding, but they're not specific for looking for people with disabilities. So we've got some advocacy to do there. I don't know that there's a direct place that I would recommend on the federal side of things. Would you, Juan?
I wouldn't say exactly for startups with disabilities, but I will say if you know about the IRAP or SHRED, use them.
Sorry, say that again.
IRAP?
Okay, IRAP. Yeah.
IRAP and SHRED.
Yeah.
We have used them, and we have been able to raise good money from them to be able to gather our technology and get to where we are right now. And they're pretty much investors. You have to make sure you have everything together, but if you can utilize them, it's money that is going to be given to you by the government, and you won't have to pay back, and you keep ownership of your company.
Yeah, there's something with BDC as well.
They do. They have $350,000 usually, but you do have to pay. They have 5 years where you don't have to pay the principal.
I think one of the issues, and it shouldn't be so niche, there should be a plethora of opportunities for homegrown Canadian solutions for issues for Canadians across the country. But I've, many of you who've been in the UK or even in the EU, we are so behind on accessibility being just top of mind, period. In your transit system, in your schools, in your hospitals, it is not a consideration today, despite the fact that we've had a bill in place for the last 5 years. And so what we have to do is raise our voices so that it does become top of mind, because once accessibility is a non-negotiable and there are real sanctions around inaccessible websites and inaccessible spaces, guess what? there's going to be tons of interest in investing in startups that are going to help these companies find a solution that is not sanction ridden. The EU just announced additional sanctions coming into place in June, where there will be a $50,000 euro fine for any website that is not WCAG 3.0 or better. We are nowhere near that here in Canada. So when you're looking for solutions because you're worried about, you know, the very costly price that will come your way, then you're going to need those solutions to come to be developed and grown, so and homegrown. So I think that's, yes, while there may be pieces today, I feel like until we get, as a country, more top of mind from an accessibility standpoint, it will still be niche and very difficult to achieve.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Great. Juan and Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. So many important points shared there around, you know, accessibility benefiting everybody. Innovators can think about how to enhance existing technology, and I think just emphasizing that importance as well of lived experience and, you know, the importance of having people on your team or the way that you're driving that innovation all through lived experience. So thank you so much for joining us for that important chat. All right, now that the moment we've been you know, waiting for, anticipating for almost 3 months at least for our ATS Labs 2024 companies. As you know, ATS, or Access to Success, we run ATS Labs, which is Canada's leading accelerator for accessibility companies. So this year, our cohort started off in September. We have 12 amazing companies that have joined us from around the world. And those companies, again, are here today, both in person and virtually, to share their stories with you, share their progress from over the program, and pitch for some prizes. So we really appreciate you all being here, startups, as well as everyone in the audience to support our companies that are here today and their amazing innovations. So I'll just do a little bit of an overview of some of the cohort data. So we have companies joining us from a wide range of different disability categories. So, you know, one in vision, one neurodiversity. We have companies in general disability and mobility as well. And like I mentioned, our companies are joining us from around the world. So this cohort, we have quite a few from the US, some from Canada as well, and then one company from Australia and one from the UK. And then just to give you a sense of what we do over the course of the program, all of our companies get to participate in these specialized master classes where we have individuals from the accessibility space. These might be investors, they might be seasoned entrepreneurs that have gone on to sell their companies. They come in to share their expertise with our companies. So just to give you an example, this year we held an inclusive design workshop. We talked about healthcare reimbursement, how that is unique to different geographic markets. And we were able to speak to some investors from the disability space. All right, so we'll head into our pitches. Definitely not going to waste any time because it's going to move pretty quickly. So just a little bit of a reminder, I guess, for our startups, 3 minutes to pitch. We're going to do a bit of a hard cutoff there. And we have 3 amazing judges that are joining us today that I'll introduce shortly. And so we'll do 2 minutes of judge Q&A. Unfortunately, no audience Q&A today, but if anyone has questions, there will be an opportunity to ask those either in networking later today, or if you're joining us virtually, please feel free to pop your questions in the chat, and we'll share those with our companies. And all that pitching is for 3 cash prizes. So we have a first place and second place that will be determined by our judges. And we do have a People's Choice Award today. So at the very end of the pitches today, you'll have an opportunity to vote for the pitch that you'd like to win that People's Choice Prize. That will be both for everyone here in person as well as virtually. So we'll share that at the end. All right, so without further ado, I'll call up the judges to join us, and maybe we'll put just 3 chairs here, the tall chairs in the front for you all to sit. So first off, we have Bruce Simpson joining us from Age Tech Capital. Bruce is the partner and co-founder of Age Tech Capital. Second, we have Laura Samars, a manager of investments at Mars Investment Accelerator Fund. And finally, Lucas Ng, who is the manager in investments and entrepreneurship at Ontario Brain Institute. So thank you to our 3 judges who are joining us today, and we'll be providing some feedback and questions to our startups. So get ready. And without further ado, we'll get started with our first pitch. So that is Jen from 119. And then if we just have our timekeeper, perfect. So just for our startups, we'll have a timekeeper at the back who will hold up some signs just for your timing. And for those virtually, you'll get a message from Teresa for your timing.
Thank you all for your patience. All right. So, if you had been here a few hours ago when I fainted, what would you do? Would you have called 911 and panicked? Well, what if I were to tell you that I faint up to 4 times a week, but I typically only need 5 minutes and a glass of water? 911 isn't always the best option for those with complex health issues. I know this firsthand, having experienced 14 well-meaning yet unwanted 911 calls in just 3 weeks. Those calls cost me 30% of my income and led to legal and housing difficulties. I felt dehumanized, spending hours in the emergency room as a complex medical patient when a simple solution could have just been given hours earlier. I am not alone. There are 88 chronic medical conditions that can often lead bystanders to make unwanted 911 calls. Each year, 30% of the ER visits from people with chronic illnesses in the United States are deemed unnecessary, costing $8.3 billion. Meanwhile, 30 million Americans spend $7.2 billion annually on medical alert systems. There is room to improve our options. Now, the true first responder isn't a paramedic, but it's a bystander. That's all of you. Now, imagine a world where you see someone faint and hear a pre-recorded message on the unresponsive person's phone or smartwatch grabbing your attention. In under 90 seconds, you would get guidance on the desired course of action, such as calling 911, contacting someone, or giving the person time to recover, as I needed earlier. In the US, as in most countries, Good Samaritan laws protect people giving help, and informed help is better than reactive help. This system exists today and is called 119. It is a patented software as a medical device that works on any smartphone, empowering individuals with chronic health conditions and bystanders to make more informed decisions when faced with medical uncertainty. Our prototype has been tested in a case study that reduced unwanted 911 calls from 4 in a week to none. 119 is a medical communication platform providing critical information plus the location of inhalers and EpiPens and other equipment. It provides comfort to families that care plans are being followed. 119 is approved situational emergency care. Scaling 119 is achievable through partnerships with chronic illness advocacy groups. Instead of a direct-to-consumer model, we will leverage trusted networks to reach end users. For the equivalent of a monthly movie rental, 119's high-need clients can make a dramatic improvement in their quality of life. In many cases, Medicaid could cover the cost, ensuring the tool reaches those who need it the most. Despite a solid vision, we have a few barriers. The FDA approval timeline could take anywhere from 2026 up until 2028, depending on our pending classification. And we need the funding to sustain us through this process. We're also looking for partnerships and contacts to help validate our advocacy group channel. Our goal is to scale 119 across all 88 targeted medical conditions, starting with asthma and diabetes. In the long term, we see 119 as a vital tool that's a part of every smartphone, helping people in times of need and ultimately easing the burden on emergency systems. I never wanted to build a company, but people like me need a world where 119 exists. I dream of a world where the chronic illness, disability, and aging communities retain their fundamental rights to dignity, respect, and humanity during medical events. I've made a lot of progress, but I need your help to move forward. Please, let's redefine what a medical emergency is together. Thank you.
Hi there, thank you so much for your presentation. Quick question, can you maybe elaborate a little bit more about how you see creating more market awareness so that people like me would know how to best handle a situation if I come across somebody who is using 119?
Absolutely. So part of the joy of 119 is it uses an audio alert to get your attention as the bystander. So some of the difficulty with the currently existing solutions is that you may forget that someone with a health condition wears a bracelet, but my solution is actually giving you an audio alert to get your attention. And then broader awareness gets down to education. You know, when my parents were born, 911 didn't exist as a system across the United States. So my hope is that in a generation, something like 119 can exist in terms of awareness.
Such an inspiring presentation, just absolutely marvelous. Can you share, what is it that you need? Just expand on what your ask is.
Absolutely. So as with probably every other founder in this room, we're all looking for funding. That is part of the thing that makes things go. But in addition to that, I am looking for connections. I'm trying to validate my business model, so I would love to talk to more chronic illness organizations alongside the community that I represent. You know, I built this to solve a personal problem, but this is so much bigger than just me. And while I have connections to the community, you can never have too many connections to your community.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Really great and really, I thought it was really compelling. But I was wondering, for the device itself, I'm guessing it has some sort of metrics or some sort of physiological measures that can measure maybe the consciousness of the individual or something like that. But can you maybe dive a little deep into when it would trigger and sort of the science behind that and whether it's been clinically tested or validated yet?
Sure, I'm going to answer that in two parts. So as for the biometrics that you are mentioning, there is the current state of 119, and then there's the future state of 119. The current working prototype of 119, the user has to have the wherewithal to trigger the system. So I know myself well, I know I feel kind of funny, let me open this app. If I don't check back in a certain number of seconds, the system's going to go off. Now the future state is including some of those biometrics like heart rate, fall detection. I am a biomedical engineer, I am passionate about including those. It's just a future iteration problem. As for testing, that is something that I'm actively always working to improve. So this system was tested on several hundred bystanders. However, further testing of the device itself, a lot of that is going to have to exist under IRB and FDA specifications. So I'm currently waiting for those directions. Competition. Well, to put it very simply, if this already existed, I would just go buy that and not need to build it. I genuinely never wanted to start a company. There is a lot of things in this space, the medical alert system space. You know, everyone knows of life alert, I've fallen and I can't get up. But the difference here is this tool is specifically for bystanders where most of them aren't. Most of the other solutions that exist are encouraging 911 calls and not so much personalized emergency response.
Thank you so much, Jen. All right, we'll move right along. And so I'm going to call up Becky Large from Autism Travel Club.
Start over on the alphabet. Faster, 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 keep clapping. Stay in time, don't slow down.
I'm Becky Large, CEO and founder of the Autism Travel Club, also an autism mom. And where we leverage technology to educate businesses and their employees on the supports for dealing with families with autism. What you witnessed was an autism simulation meant to create a state of overwhelm. The volume wasn't the greatest, but it was hoping to create this overwhelm for you so that something with people with autism wake up to on a daily basis. And it's the root of the problem, sensory overwhelm and the aftermath. But it's also the genesis of the opportunity. Traveling as a family is hard. As you may now grasp, due to the likelihood of sensory overwhelm, traveling with someone with autism is exponentially harder. So hard that 87% of our families don't travel. With my personal experience and input from the autism community, I developed a program that educates hospitality businesses to become autism aware, providing social impact to autism families and economic impact to trained businesses in their communities. For our families, the Autism Traveler app for Apple and Android provides trip planning, access to the list of autism-trained businesses, and the discounts that they offer, making the ATC the AAA of autism travel. The sexy part of the app is the actionable data it provides us. The program was created and honed in our beachhead market in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, and the surrounding area, having Surfside Beach declared the first autism-friendly travel destination anywhere in the world and opening the second airport sensory room in the world. Our average ARR is about $59,000, and we have over 3,500 families, and the numbers grow weekly. With 6 million people in the US with autism and using an average of 4 travelers, and knowing 87% of autism families don't travel, there's a potential of 21 million travelers. A typical ATC-supported day trip would include an attraction, a meal out, and plus overnight accommodations for about $500 a day or $3,400 for the week, for an economic impact of just below $18 billion. So how can we reach this market? Well, with 93% of our families who said they would travel if supports were available, I want as much of this as I can get, and I've got the plan to do it. Our Let's Go to Market strategy is to pursue destination marketing organizations, chambers of commerce, enterprise-wide opportunities, cross-promotional partnerships, foster our affiliate program, and amplify our efforts through our national and international ad agency relationships. A bit about us. As again, I'm an autism mama bear to my son and many. The program I've created has been nationally and internationally recognized, coming up on Traveling the Spectrum on December 12th. And I have my partner, Christian, who's the growth hacking techpreneur with experience with Booking.com and other startups. I'm raising $500,000 to expand into 20 new markets over the next 12 months. I also ask for introductions to hospitality industry leaders or potential partners. Join the Autism Travel Club. Let's put autism on the map. From the world, we're again looking for funding, the $500,000 to move into 20 new markets over the next 12 months. That will, of course, help us to make our team bigger, more marketing dollars, more product development, and then, of course, any introductions to hospitality partners or other essential partners that we could work with. Right now, we're with Becoming Rentable and AbleView and a couple other cross-promotional efforts.
Hi, thank you very much. Kind of two questions. So first of all, can you maybe speak a bit to other travel platforms out there, and if they have any initiatives that would also play in this space? And then with that, the destinations that you have included on your platform, say the hotels or activities that are being recommended on that platform, do they also have their own initiatives that kind of help you include them as a recommendation?
So we're targeting the destination marketing organizations where, that's Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce would be one of them. That's where we started. We're also working with Kissimmee and Go Laurel Highlands. And the DMOs, it's all about promoting travel and inclusivity. The Chambers of Commerce, it's all about DEI initiatives and kind of supporting the community and the autism families there in those communities. So as far as other training initiatives that we do, of course, that have competition, Culture City would be one of them, the IBCCES. No one has the app and the discount program that we offer. Our businesses that are trained and aware offer a service or a discount to our families. And then I forget the other part of your question, I'm sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, great presentation. Just a question about the education and training portion. Obviously, it's an enormous task to do that. But I want to ask you, maybe if you could dive into a little bit in terms of what type of education that you provide to those providers and sort of what ways they can do to improve the trip experience, and whether or not you've noticed that the education and training has improved over time, or has that training impacted positively over time, or if you have any data over that?
So we have 9 online modules that are specific to different hospitality industry verticals and essential workers, including education and first responders, restaurants, retail, resorts, hotels, activities providers, and all the online modules. So prior to COVID, we did do all of our training live and on site. But then with COVID, we made the pivot to online, and everybody learned how to learn virtually, which gave us the opportunity to open up into new markets. And the training is always sorry.
Thank you, Becky. Okay, next up we have Ali from Accessercise. So we'll just have Ali come share on screen. Ali's pitching virtually. And then just for the judges, I'm just gonna, sorry to be the one, but I'm gonna limit to 2 questions per startup, if that's all right. And then we'll have more time for questions later. So Ali, over to you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Awesome, thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Ali Jawad and I'm the co-founder of Accessercise, where we do accessible fitness. Imagine a world where millions of disabled people don't have access to a healthy lifestyle. There are 71,000 fitness apps globally available, but none cater for the 1.2 billion disabled people globally. In fact, 81% of our research wanted to be more active, but didn't have a tool that could help them. Accessercise is here to change that. The fitness industry has overlooked the disabled community without accessible tools to exercise. That's why Accessercise is the world's first complete fitness app, especially designed for people with disabilities, allowing them to exercise independently and on their terms with the features on screen. From day one, we've worked hand in hand with the disability community. Our app was co-designed with our in-house focus group, which has many disabilities, and with user testing. Therefore, we're not just creating a community, we're creating with them. And on top of that, we are backed by science, as we have a research partnership with the world-famous Loughborough University, which makes our app evidence-based. As you can see, the fitness app industry is worth approximately 8.5 billion, I think. And the potential is huge because it's an untapped market and the disability community is the biggest minority. Our business model is sustainable and scalable. At the moment, we have a subscription-based model. We also have advertising revenue for any companies that want to sell their products to the disability community. We are also in the process of licensing the app to gyms and sporting facilities. The team is me. So I'm Ali Jawad. I'm a 4-time Paralympian and Paralympic medalist and also a PhD candidate. And I have lift experience by being a double leg amputee. My co-founder, Sam, that I've known for 12 years, was an elite athlete, but his background is in sports development, notably the London 2012 Olympics. So far, we've made incredible progress. We've managed to secure partnerships with Apple, Google, and Loughborough University. Our app is also live at the moment and gaining traction. We have 4,000 active users a month using the app twice a week to exercise. And incredibly, we've managed to win industry awards, notably this week where we beat the BBC to an inclusive award literally yesterday. And as you can see on screen, we are launching in Brazil and the USA next year. So to accelerate our impact, we're asking for £1 million at a valuation of 3 million. We've already got 65% committed or in the bank, and this will help us increase our features in the app, also expand our team and enhance our platform. Additionally, we do seek partnerships with disability organizations and fitness brands to grow our ecosystem. Accessercise is more than just a fitness app. It's a movement to break down barriers and create more inclusive world. Together, we can empower the individual healthier, independent lives. Let's make fitness accessible for everyone. Thank you.
Amazing, so inspiring. Could you just expand a little bit on the solution here? You say it's not just a fitness app. Maybe just flesh out a little bit the solution that you've got more broadly.
Yeah, so the app allows the disabled person to exercise based on their disability. So as a double leg amputee, I get given video exercises and the demonstrator in the video has my impairment. So I get to see how an exercise is adapted and also performed, which means that I can pick any exercise that I would like to do, and that creates a training session for me, which means I'm in total control of my journey. I can progress and regress as I see.
I'm curious if you also see the product being distributed through physiotherapists and occupational therapists, and then potentially being covered by insurance, and those providers can use it in their practices.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've already done work with PhysiTrack. We've done all their physiotherapy disability rehab content, and they're in 60 NHS trusts in the UK, and I think they serve over 100 countries. So we've already done work for them. So they are using us.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. My question is, like most exercises, is there a way to track progression over time? So I mean, or is it meant to have some sort of progression within the protocol of exercises, or is it more just a way to introduce people to start moving and finding alternative exercise to do given their current disability?
Yeah, so our exercise library is filtered, so you can progress and regress as you see fit. So we cater for complete novices, or we can cater for elite athletes that have no access to strength and conditioning coaches at the highest level. It's a huge spectrum of exercise.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
This is going to happen now, but next up we have Melissa from Baby Zip. So Melissa, if you'd like to come up, and hopefully we'll get this going. Sorry. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous, excuse me. All right, hello everyone. I invite you to think of a time when you tried on clothing and it didn't quite fit you as you expected. Perhaps it was too big, too small, or it was just uncomfortable. This is a daily experience for children with disabilities when dealing with traditional clothing. So a little about us. We make clothing for children with disabilities sorry, I'm completely nervous, pardon me. I'm Melissa Kufarigi, a mom to a child with disabilities, and like many parents, I struggled to find the right fit for my child with disabilities, and this led to the creation of Baby Zips, a brand that's transforming the dressing experience for children everywhere. The problem is, with traditional clothing, it has failed to meet the needs of approximately 240 million children living worldwide with disabilities. Caregivers are left frustrated, forcing children into ill-fitting clothing or excluding them from recreational activities. Our solution is an adaptive apparel that has zippers integrated into strategically placed placements for more of an accessible fit. This allows for more customization in terms of the fit and is more comfortable and stylish. So in terms of our traction, we soft launched in 2022. It was strictly through Facebook, using word of mouth. We were able to sell our small batch. We only did 75 to start, and we were able to sell to the US, Canada, the UK, and France. This is all through Facebook. And the adaptive market, the adaptive clothing market, it is growing. You'll see that the fashion, sorry, I'm so nervous, I apologize. The adaptive fashion market is growing and set to reach
$30 billion by 2031. So this means that in just 9 years, the market itself will double because it is growing at a constant, an average growth rate of 8.2%. So Baby Zips is at the forefront of this opportunity because we have our growing wait list, and as well as we're getting a lot of positive customer feedback. Our go-to-market strategy includes, initially we started validating with 2 years, we validated over the last 2 years, and we got a lot of insights and feedback from our customers. Going forward, what we plan to do is enter the market through optimizing our B2C and our going through with our B2B strategy to go into hospitals and daycares, as well as we are expanding our line to meet young adults through XY Zips. Okay, and so currently our business model is this B2C model where we serve caregivers of children with disabilities and gift givers, and as well as we're moving towards the B2B model where we'll be working with childcare centers and healthcare facilities for large-scale orders. Our competitive advantage is that we offer customizable fits through zippers, compatibility with wearable devices, and as well as community. Our team, it's a founder-led team, and we have community partners, and we are planning to grow through hiring experts in various fields. And our ask today is that you'll join our movement to be a champion for accessible fashion, collaborate with us for impact. So if you can please introduce us to people in your community as well. And if you know of any non-dilutive funding opportunities, we also ask for that as well. So today we invite you to join us in our movement to let kids be kids so that no child is excluded. Thank you.
Brilliant, so inspiring, many thanks. I get the zippers bit, which gets the child into the clothing. Is there anything else around the design in addition to that, which means it actually fits better? Because it could still be clothing it doesn't fit that you've managed to zip them into?
Exactly, thank you for asking. So basically, there are a couple things that go into the design. So with the zippers themselves, it actually allows for, you don't have to zip it all the way. And that's why you'll notice in this image, we've left the design so the insides is kind of showing. So it looks like you folded the jacket. So it doesn't matter if it's partially unzipped, it looks like it's part of the style. So there's that component, and as well as the fabrics that we tend to use tend to be very stretchy, breathable fabrics, as well as softness, and ensuring that it's sensory friendly is very important to us as well.
Are your sales are all currently online?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe, can you just elaborate a little bit more on, you did a competitor analysis up there, could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on other options available and what deficiency they have compared to your products?
Absolutely. So currently there are other companies that use magnets. That's the biggest thing in the industry, is to use magnets for adaptation. However, with magnets, it's not fully accessible to people who have wearable devices. Like for instance, if you wear prosthetics, there could be the magnets getting in the way of the prosthetics, and you also have to consult with your doctors. The other thing that Baby Zips provides is community. So for us, it's very important that we include the community in the co-creation process, and as well as just creating a space where people can feel related to and connected. And that's something that's missing in like Tommy Hill Adaptive, for instance.
Yeah, great presentation. You did really great, by the way. So I hope you were, not feeling too bad about that. But just elaborating a bit on the community testing. In terms of when you were doing your product development and design, was there particular demographics or patient populations you were testing it on, or was it, just a generalized sort of testing? I mean, would love to hear more about that.
Thanks for your question. So when I first started, it was specifically for children with limb differences. So my son, he was born without radius bone, so he doesn't have like a forearm, and I found other children in the same situation. And so that was my target group. But then other parents started to buy the jacket. I was quite confused, like, why are they buying it? But it serves different purposes. Like, I found out for people who have like central lines or GI feeding tubes, they're able to feed the tubings through the sides, and it prevents the child from actually pulling on their accessibility line. So it serves different purposes. And but yes, to answer your question, it definitely started specifically for children with a rare condition who didn't have an option and were excluded from recreational activities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. So next up, we have Rajiv from Blueberry Technology. And just another reminder, we'll try to split the questions between judges, but let's try to limit to 2 per startup. Thank you. I hate to be that person, but. Right.
Good afternoon. My name is Rajiv Ramnath. I'm the founder of Blueberry Technology. We have all seen someone with limited mobility struggle in an airport with mobility services, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, a friend, or even a stranger. Those experiences felt by those people are often impersonal, they are oftentimes transactional and highly unpredictable. We live in a rapidly aging world where nearly a quarter of the elderly population faces some kind of mobility challenge. Yet, airports rely on a one person helping one person mindset that in a world where we have autonomous cars dominating aviation elsewhere is completely inexplainable. This outdated approach makes an already low valued job of pushing even more difficult, leading to long wait times for the passengers and anxiety-inducing experiences worsened significantly by colossal labor shortages. Our solution to this problem is BBGO, a human-centered approach to mobility that seamlessly combines autonomous movement with the option to use a joystick or even push the vehicle. Designed with customer freedom in mind, BBGO has delivered a 98.4% customer satisfaction rate across pilots in the US and driven significant cost savings for the operators through simply a higher person-to-vehicle ratio. We've chosen airports as our beachhead, as they offer a really well-defined use case, eager customers, excited passengers, and a significant $1 billion opportunity in the US alone. Airports also serve as a launchpad for expansion into other verticals that have the same problem being independence and labor constrained. Think of elder care centers, think of hospitals, all overall representing about a $19 billion market. Our team's progress speaks for itself. Successful pilots in San Jose, Grand Rapids, Pittsburgh, and other US airports, where we have helped move over 380 passengers entirely autonomously. We have 6 issued patents, and I'm excited to announce a recent launch at the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport, a true testament of our ability to adapt to that customer-specific needs. Our efforts have also earned us recognition, including the Eureka Park Accessibility Contest Award. We're raising $4 million to scale our pilots, develop new products, grow our fleet, and expand operations. This funding will ensure operational readiness for a large-scale deployment across multiple airports next year, paving the way for expansion to 25 airports by 2028. We've taken BBGO across the US, inviting customers and passengers to experience it and share their feedback. The overwhelmingly positive response underscores the newfound freedom that the passengers have found. The smiles on their faces speak louder than words ever could. With strong unit economics and ongoing paid pilots, BBGO is poised to transform airport mobility. Thank you for your time. Happy to take any questions.
Tell us more about what it actually does. Right, I get the bigger picture challenge, but tell us about that. Like, lift the hood from an engineering standpoint into what your device actually does.
Perfect. This picture is a great example of that. You see, there's a little display over here that faces the passenger. So the passenger scans their boarding pass, and they get to select what they have to do in their stay in the airport, be it visiting a restroom or visiting a restaurant of their choice. And we drive the vehicle autonomously. There's a whole bunch of sensors you can see tucked away carefully so that they're not in the way of a long overcoat or a sari or what have you. And the vehicle drives autonomously. You don't like what the computer is doing, by all means, drive it yourself. There's a little joystick there. You take over the ride to your comfort level, and we give you little guardrails so the vehicle doesn't bump into another occupant of the airport or an establishment or what have you. The vehicle is geofenced as well. So think of it as a mechanism to move a passenger and allow them to truly experience an airport, as opposed to just make it a transactional, get to the airport, get to the gate, wait for 2 hours, maybe use the restroom, and then get to your plane. Have them actually experience the airport. It's the autonomous movement. It's the ability to give them the freedom in their experience at the airport.
Thank you so much. So it sounds like the beachhead market is airports. Is this device only meant to be used in airports, or have you thought about how it could expand to other commercial spaces?
Absolutely. It's a perfect segue to, I was hoping you would ask is, hey, what help do you want from us? Well, the larger community here, there's no reason this is an airport product only. This is designed for freedom, right, for independence. The only reason we say it's airports is it's a really well-defined market. The use case is box, right? Point A, point B, go to this restaurant, go to that restaurant, go to that restroom. There's an existing money flow path in an airport, and we're trying to just sneak in there in those contracts, as opposed to, let's create a brand new market. That's a lot harder for a company as small as ours. So we think this can easily fit into an elder care center. Long term, I can see this in the very end, maybe an entire hospital visit. Or let's start with just the outpatient side, where you got to go from where you got dropped off at your own choice, not when your child was available to take you to the hospital, but whenever you wanted to go to the radiology department, go to the pharmacy, go see a specialist, and get back into your Uber and get back home. The real last mile. That real last mile doesn't exist just in airport. It exists everywhere.
Thanks, Rajiv. All right, next up, we have Armand from Good Trouble Games. Over to you.
Hello, hello. Bear with me as I share my screen. Thank you for your patience. Hi there. Thank you all so much for your time and being here with our wonderful cohort. It's been so much fun getting to know everyone over the last few months. My name is Armand. I'm a game developer, a cancer survivor, and the founder of a company called Good Trouble. At first, we just set out to make a great game. Our thesis was to make hyper-accessible games to benefit the nearly 500 million gamers with disabilities worldwide. And we raised a seed round of 1.8 million from some great investors, including Mitch Lasky. But as we built and tested our thesis, we kept hearing the same thing. Discovering accessible games is such a huge headache. It's such a big problem. And gamers and game studios both really need an urgent solution. Current platforms also don't understand the 500 million gamers with disabilities. That's approximately 1 in 3 gamers in North America. It takes hours to discover if a game is accessible enough to play. And we've done research with 2,500 gamers with disabilities, and they've told us that finding this information is extremely time-consuming and stressful. Finding that information is also very important because it's the #1 determining factor whether a gamer with disabilities will buy a game. So everyone wants this to have a solution, especially because games are the #1 way to improve happiness in life and social connections for people with disabilities, according to the University of Washington. So I'd like to introduce Able to Play. It's the best way to find accessible games to play. Able to Play matches gamers to games based on a revolutionary personal accessibility score. We took a year to build and invent this. It's patent pending, and we built it in partnership with the World Institute on Disability. It helps gamers and game developers make and distribute the most accessible games ever made. And gamers love what we've built. We're seeing nearly 100 times better conversion compared to incumbent platforms, and 99% of our testers strongly prefer Able to Play to incumbent platforms. And more than that, we're free for gamers, but we provide impactful B2B tools that help publishers make more accessible games as a platform-sized solution. We've helped thousands of gamers with disabilities find a new favorite game so far. Take it from Paul Amadeus Lane, a gamer, a C6 quadriplegic, and a member of the Sony Access controller team. Able to Play is a game changer for him. It's so easy to use that he finds accessible games using our platform. But now, we need your help. Our one ask is not related to fundraising. We just want more people than ever to find out about our free, life-changing resource. So I'm asking you to help spread the word. We want to get in touch with care organizations and NGOs because games and quality of life and happiness is care. We want to get in touch with journalists that care about this mission because it's a free resource for gamers. And for game studios, we want to help with quality and distribution of games. And where should everybody go? Just down to abletoplay.com. Thank you so much. I welcome your questions and thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. You mentioned that you would want to try and influence, I guess, developers to create more accessible games. You know, you probably know this better than I do, but in terms of development, timelines are always super tight, budgets are really tight and difficult to meet deadlines. How do you sort of encourage and implement change at that level for these much larger studios to, you know, target or address a target audience that, you know, may not affect their bottom line as much?
I love the question because it speaks to a large misconception about how many gamers with disabilities are actively trying to find and buy these games. Game developers want to get out there and say, our game is accessible for these needs. They want to build into their production plans support for various disabilities, especially ones that do statistically affect their bottom line. And we have the data and we've shown these publishers that the data suggests making very, very accessible games will see no less than a 60% lift overall on retention because accessibility just benefits everybody. So we let the data speak for itself when we're talking to developers and publishers, and then we help with our data set, which is the largest accessibility data set in the world on games, to show exact pinpoints of what needs to be built and where in the production cycle it's ideal to build. Because if you address accessibility in the design phase, it's much easier to solve than trying to patch it in.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Could you maybe give us a little bit more color on the traction to date? Sounds like I would probably describe this as a marketplace platform in a sense. So maybe some user metrics around, you know, how many new games have been developed with the platform, how many users you have would be really helpful.
Sure. So we are in an early access stage right now. We've been developing and beta testing the platform for the course of 2024. And just in a matter of the last 2 weeks, which has been a significant holiday period in the United States, we've set our site into a soft launch period. So in terms of user metrics, we have a lot of qualitative metrics with around 2,500 total data points to date as part of our research. And these are the statistics that I showed earlier, 97 times improvement in people wanting to take actions, critical actions on our site versus incumbent platforms, and a 99% preference of our site versus incumbent platforms. We have a very dialed in sense of what does work and does not work for gamers with disabilities when it comes to discovering new games. And we're eager to have a few very large, I can't say names, but a few very large games events that happen on the 12th and the 18th of December, helping promote our site as part of our actual launch. So the scale metrics of how many people are using this site, we're expecting to vastly improve over the next 2 weeks.
Thanks, Armand. All right, so from here, we're just going to take a quick pause in our programming in the sense that we're going to have one of our sponsors joining us just to provide a few remarks. So again, going to get this going. All right, so I'd like to welcome up Jason Bayhamduni from CIBC. So Jason is a seasoned financial services executive with 24 plus years at CIBC, specializes in operational transformation and leading global teams. As Vice President of the Business Client Center, he has driven strategic initiatives to boost efficiency, service levels, and client satisfaction. Jason holds a master's in public administration from Carleton University and a CPA designation. As executive sponsor of CIBC's Workability People's Network, he champions employees with disabilities. A caregiver to a neurodiverse child with complex disabilities, Jason's personal experiences fuel his dedication to workplace inclusivity. So Jason, thank you so much for joining us today, for your continued sponsorship through CIBC, and yeah, please feel free to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for the warm welcome. As Hannah indicated, I work at CIBC. I've been there for 24 years. I'm part of our CIBC Employee Disability Network, where we work with our CIBC employees who have disabilities and work on internal advocacy and that sort of thing. Normally when we meet as a community at CIBC, within the disability community, we provide a visual description of ourselves for our visually impaired employees, and so I'll do that. I'm a middle-aged male. I'm wearing a blue checkered sports coat. I have a blue frame glasses, and describing my haircut as short is usually a generous description. I'm honored to be here, and I must say I'm truly inspired by what I've seen. It gives me a lot of hope that when I hear these entrepreneurs and your startup visions, that there's impactful products and services that could change the world. So I'm truly honored to be here. CIBC Workability is our bank employee network of persons with disabilities and their allies, which has nearly 3,000 employees at CIBC. As Hannah mentioned, I'm a proud father of a neurodiverse son who navigates a number of complex behavioral and invisible disabilities. And that's made me very deeply committed to the CIBC disability community, not only as an ally, but obviously as a caregiver. My journey has been one of continuous learning about the barriers that he faces daily, which inspires me to advocate for inclusivity in our workplace and to help our employees, and also to help me with my own personal journey to understand how disabilities impact our employees and hopefully one day provide the supports that he needs. CIBC is a proud sponsor, has been a proud partner of Access to Success since 2020. It's a strong match for our bank as we share a commitment to accessibility and disability inclusion. CIBC's objective and purpose to partnering with Access to Success is to be the lead in accessibility innovation and to have a direct access to accessibility-focused entrepreneurs. We believe it's an important step in supporting underrepresented entrepreneurs and accelerating innovation and accessibility. At CIBC, we strive to enhance the employee and client experience and to help persons with disabilities achieve their ambition. So across our bank, some things to tell you, we place tremendous value in innovative ideas, which is why we sponsor initiatives such as Access to Success, the Mars Inclusive Design Challenge, and Magnus Mode. To build an exclusive pipeline of talent, we also partner with organizations like Lime Connect, the largest network of high potential students and professionals, including veterans who live with disabilities. We've also worked with CNIB, you heard about that earlier. We're Canada's largest, and we work with an organization called Special Sterna, an international leader for harnessing the talents of the neurodiverse workforce. In the last 2 years, we've hired over 50 individuals from these organizations. CIBC added accessibility-related information as well to our 1,000+ banking centers onto the Access Now platform, becoming the first Canadian institution to do so, and it's helping to create a more inclusive experience for all of our clients. We continue to support organizations such as March of Dimes Canada, Goodfoot, and Holland Bloor View Kids Rehabilitation Center. I'm also a client of that organization. While we're proud of the progress we've made, there's still always a lot to do, but we're thrilled to support Access to Success and the cutting edge startups. They're just amazing, who've been pioneering all of their startups. Good luck to you in today's judging, and congratulations. I think I'll pass it back to Hannah now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for joining us today. And of course, the work that we do wouldn't be possible without the support of CIBC and some of our other sponsors as well. So thank you for joining. All right, so I'll just make a quick note. We're getting some messages in the chat about connecting with some of our startups. There's a lot of interest with connecting with our startups. So I'll just note that in our People's Choice form or voting that we'll have at the end of the pitches, you'll have the opportunity to not just vote for the People's Choice, but also to express interest in which startups you want to connect with, and we'll share the contact information there. But of course, we can share that in the chat here as well. All right, so next up we have Ron from Orthosium.
Good afternoon. I'm Ron Hurtig, co-founder of Orthosium. Our goal is helping patients recovering from lower body injury or surgery comply with their weight-bearing limits. Some of us may have needed a walking boot, or who have gone through different surgeries, hip surgeries. In 2023, there were over 170,000 lower body injuries and surgeries that were prescribed a weight-bearing limit. Unfortunately, many people forget their limit, which may result in an extended recovery period or further complication. Our solution is based on biofeedback. An insole for the shoe or walking boot together with the pod provides immediate results, and when the weight is exceeded, while the patient's app notifies and tracks all steps and alerts. Our SOM is based on 170,000 opportunities per year with a 20% market share. North America will provide an OPY of 2.2 million with a global OPY of over 7 million. Surgery costs are increasing each year. We have a product that's cost-effective and simple to use. We have established a partnership with VHA and together with Kite are looking for funding from HO. In the validation phase, we will build up a trust-building base with local clinics and VHA. In the inner phase, we will expand locally and leverage our work to other nonprofits, and we'll be releasing a lower-cost pod. During the growth phase, we will have offshore manufacturing in place, and we'll expand in the GTA and start on BSC sales. For scale-up, we'll continue our work and our expansion in the key cities in Ontario and Quebec. Many center-based insoles focus on gait research, diabetes, and sports injuries, and are costly and complex. Our closest competitor is aimed at sports injuries and do not use a pod. Our solution is unique in that the elderly can use the pod by itself and the caregiver the app. In 2025, with an OPY of 8,500 and a market share of 15%, revenue will be about 250,000. By 2026, the OPY will be 30,000 and will be maintaining a 15% market share. In 2027, we expect revenue to reach $3 million. Currently, our team is well experienced. Our co-founders consist of 2 orthopedic surgeons and myself, with support from our scientific and business advisors. Our ask would be used to add manufacturing support to identify and qualify leads and push the expansion. We also have to build up inventory, complete the next generation pod, and would be transitioning to offshore manufacturing. Patients using our product feel they can be taking a step forward in gaining independence. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more, about what your product actually does. I understand that the weight bearing, maybe just expand on that. Is it movement? Is it really just weight? I'm sure it's other things, as well as commenting on the data you're collecting, which I'm sure is very helpful more broadly.
So it's basically people who have hip surgery, they're wearing an ACL tears, they're wearing a walking boot, right? As they put weight on, non-compliance is terrible, right? With the elderly, it's 70%. They're basically prescribed how much weight they can put on that foot. But because they overdo it, they go back in for revision surgery. This was identified by the surgeons as quite a problem. The idea is this would alert them. It's a simple pod that fits around their ankle that will give a vibration, a beep, and notify them they're over the limit. There's also a weight-bearing protocol that typically changes. The weight-bearing increases over time. That's all built into the pod. So it automatically will compensate and it'll warn them when they're over the limit. We keep a metric of all that. All that data, how much they're over by, is all maintained.
Maybe just to build off of Bruce's question. So it sounds like once your solution actually indicates that you're over the weight limit, to somebody using it, you would really just, you would take that say it's your foot, for example, you would take that weight off the foot, right?
Absolutely.
But is there anything in the product that actually prevents more weight on that leg or that foot long term? Or is it really just like it's giving you this information and then your reaction is to take the weight off?
It's been used in different methods. There are people who were just afraid to walk. So that, with patients that we saw, they were afraid to walk. So they were very happy to have this to sort of go, okay, I now have the confidence. I feel good walking. We've had situations where we set it at a different threshold because she wanted it in such a way that every time she wanted it to beep. She wanted it to alert her. And it's kind of using that biofeedback and that training. The way it's been done so far is basically you get trained on a weigh scale. And it's relatively primitive. You can't take the weigh scale with you all the time. So people are cautious. Elderly patients that we've seen, they're just afraid to walk. And walking is part of the healing process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Right, next up we have Ersin from PoiLabs. So go ahead, Ersin, over to you.
You can see my screen now, great. Hi everyone, I am Ersin. I am co-founder and CEO of PoiLabs. Did you know that 2% of the population lives with blindness or visual impairment? And however, they are mainly isolated from many aspects of the life because venues are generally not accessible. So it leads them from isolation and it creates a global economic burden of $4 billion. Venues can be also high risk for legal actions as well as they lose potential customers or talents. So we created an indoor navigation solution. It is a mobile application. Users can change the visuals. We have multiple language support. They can adjust navigation features. We have a guide so they can start easily using the app and they can always send feedbacks to improve our solutions. There are mainly two main features. The first one is a discovery feature. So when they start walking inside the venue, they learn about nearby points like Zara on your left, Tesla Fashion. And secondly, they can get turn-by-turn navigation to their destination. So they can select a place from this, they can search or use the nearest options. When they started navigation, they get brief info about the route and then get turn-by-turn notifications like turn right now, we're at the elevator, go to second floor. So this technology helps them to be more confident and independent in their daily life so they can be much more attend part of every aspect of life. So we are using the sensors inside the smartphones as well as some external sensors and map constraints to deliver up to 1 meter indoor accuracy. We work with multi-platform. We can integrate with the existing mobile apps. It's cloud-based, so it's scalable and reliable. So we are operating in indoor navigation and indoor positioning market, and we plan to have 20 million revenue at the end of 2028. So we have a B2B SaaS business model. We charge the venues a setup fee at the beginning and then monthly subscription depending on sizes and services that they use. And users use the solution for free. So we are globally available in more than 83 cities with 500 venues and 100,000 users. We are working with small retail stores, malls, museums, offices, metro stations, and large places like airports. We first funded our company through R&D grants and also an angel investment at the beginning. We got many awards, and we were part of some executive programs to scale our business. So we are differentiating ourselves with our high indoor accuracy, working in multiple platforms, and our inclusivity features. We are a team of 15 people and based in London. So we have the right skills and passion to scale our business. We also have advisors from NGOs, business development, as well as technical consultants that help us to develop our technology. So now we are raising $500,000 and we have 100,000 commitments. So we will use this fund to reach 1.5 million ARR at the end of next year. So you can help us by investing, making your venues accessible, as well as we need new partners in every country to scale. So we can together create a more accessible world together. Thank you.
Great presentation. I'd like to hear a little bit more about your testing of the product with any particular, study group or anything. Like, what did that look like, and what were the results from that? And just like to hear more insight around that.
Yeah, in fact, the idea came when I was working in an NGO, so we continuously work with volunteers in different NGOs. And also we have a blind developer that works in the solution as well. So generally we started in shopping centers to do the solution. And with the help of the blind people, we just expanded to its different venues. And every venue has its own unique requirements. Like museums, we added the description of the art pieces. Or for example, in metro stations, we need to add some alerts. So we continuously improve our solution with testing and workshops that we are doing in a quarterly base to create our roadmap.
There was a solution actually in last year's event, which were glasses with a built-in mic, and the glasses were actually enhancing what the person would see, which helped people be out and about. In contrast to that, can you just expand on the technology that you're using and what the functionality actually is within the device?
Exactly. So we don't have an external device, so it works on any smartphone. So we don't have additional device. So we use the sensors inside the smartphones, some external sensors like beacons to calculate the location of the user, and then it works through the mobile app. So you don't need additional device. So of course,
say the last sentence again. The sound is not great.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Your side. Maybe just repeat the last couple of sentences.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we create a digital map. We create all the walkways, all the walk path inside, and we use the sensors inside the smartphone to calculate the location of the user. So we do not need users do not need any additional devices. So they use their own smartphone.
Got it. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Arsen. Just a quick note to our companies pitching through Zoom. If you can just keep your screen shared when the judge Q&A happens, that will just help us keep some of the captions on the screen. So that would be helpful. So next up, we have Sharika from Pump Pocket.
Okay, thank you. Just going to share my screen. Everyone see that? Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is Sharika Rogers, CEO and founder of Pump Pocket. We make clothing with specialized pockets to hold an insulin pump, etc., so that kids with type 1 diabetes can still play free. The story of Pump Pocket began when our own 10-year-old son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and started using an insulin pump, which is a little box that pumps insulin under the skin with a tube and a needle. But he soon ran into a big problem and asked me in frustration, where am I supposed to put this thing? It rattled in his pocket, the tubes caught on his friend's clothes, which subsequently pulled the needle out from under his skin. Yes, ouch. Our current market is children and teens in Canada and the US. 1 in 300 children have type 1 in North America today, and the incidence is rising 4% per year. Here's a close-up of our magic underwear that has multiple pockets for a pump, phone, receiver, or even extra emergency glucose that will keep everything secure, whether you're upside down or right side up. In the last 2 years, we've been able to validate our product by asking customers and testers for feedback and suggestions, and they've been very good in doing this, and this gives us confidence in our value to the community. I just love getting feedback like this one that we got from a mom. So presently, we're direct to consumer via our own Shopify store, but we're pursuing partnerships with pump reps, diabetic educators, and nonprofit organizations. Last year, our revenue was just $3,000, but it's slowly increasing this year. Here's a comparison chart showing competitors with other pump accessories. Pump Pocket is the only one, as you can see, that checks all the boxes for concealing tubes, secure, being inconspicuous, and kid-sized. And the average cost is pretty mid-range as well. So we would love for you to help spread the word as we organically expand our business and increase reach and exposure in more markets geographically and eventually into even other uses for the Pump Pocket, such as EpiPen users or inhaler users. The team consists of myself presently. I worked as a physio in another life, which has some surprising relevance to Pump Pocket. And at the end of the day, I'm just a mom of a T1D warrior who understands what it's like to care for someone with this disease each and every day. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Great presentation. One quick question. As the technology for the delivery of the insulin may be evolving, can you see the need for your product continuing over the next few years, or is there something out there which might need you to adapt?
Yeah, there's always the possibility to adapt. So there is the number of insulin pumps available in Canada. There are 3 that are approved, and 2 more have been approved recently, and those 5 of them have tubes. There is one that is a tubeless insulin pump. But the question with the tubeless insulin pump, you still need a receiver or a phone that's going to communicate with the pump. So where are you going to put that phone? So children's clothing often doesn't have pockets, and they're often our own son leaving his phone somewhere on the playground somewhere. So it's always nice to have a place where they can have it constantly and it's secure and they can access it.
Have you considered other distribution strategies other than online sales?
Yes. So currently looking to, at the beginning, when we first started the business, it was like, it's direct to consumer. But now I'm realizing that there's a huge inroads with clinicians, even nonprofits, and starting to secure some of those relationships. And yeah, pursuing that.
Thank you, Sharika. Okay, next up we have Troy from Soul Mobility.
Good afternoon. I'm Troy Tesmer, CEO of Soul Mobility, and we're redefining mobility solutions for wheelchair users around the world. I'd like you to meet Chad. Chad's one of millions of wheelchair users that loves his manual chair and the independence it provides. However, just like Chad, most wheelchair users report pain from pushing. Let's be honest, the world is not flat, pushing is hard, and a standard power wheelchair is disruptive to many lifestyles. That's why we developed the PowerFlex, a power-based attachment that takes a manual wheelchair and converts it to power in under 30 seconds with no tools, allowing users to live a hybrid lifestyle of pushing or power on their terms. It bridges the gap between today's sleek manual chairs and large dedicated power chairs. And it's a true user-inspired design. Developed by our founder, Todd Hargroder, a quadriplegic who's been pushing for over 30 years, he knows the attributes that matter. Manual tilt, suspension, things that are in this patented design that'll set us apart. With 85% of the world's wheelchair users pushing, the opportunity for PowerFlex to make a difference is huge. Of the 7 million manual wheelchair users out there, as we dissect that into the disabilities that are best used for this technology, we estimate our service obtainable market at over $2 billion. The exciting news is we're ready for launch. The heavy lifting, the development, the certification, and the FDA clearance have been achieved. And on November 15th, we received our FDA clearance, allowing us to go into production, which we're ready to go. With that FDA clearance, we're focused on commercialization, recruiting our reps, educating therapists and users, and driving towards sales. That requires a big push in getting ready for production in our go-to-market with a launch in March at the International Seating Symposium in 2025, which is why we're raising $700,000 of pre-seed funding. It gives us a 12-month runway and allows us to develop that initial production for demo, pilots, as well as sales, and also support team development and marketing so it can hit the ground running. Sales ramp over a 5-year period as we develop our VA and dealer sales channel, grow into international markets, as well as develop additional products so we can achieve year 5 sales of $37 million on 6,000 units. Our leadership team is a great visionary integrator dynamic. Todd, as an industry veteran, founder with multiple innovations, and myself, I've launched hundreds of products to the durable goods market, leading teams in large product categories. Our goal is to build a great company with great products. We're within an industry that has acquisitions for proven innovations. And I thank you for your time and hope you'll join Soul Mobility to empower wheelchair users around the world.
Yeah, thanks. Great presentation. Maybe it'd be nice if you could dive in a little bit into the cost and competitive advantage, sort of like this strange gap in between powered and non-powered. I'm guessing there's a big cost difference in between the different types. And how does that scale compared to either leading toward one side or the other?
Yeah, it's a good question. A manual chair within this industry easily will run $2,500 to $5,000. A dedicated power chair is going to start at about $17,000 and climb to $30,000. We plan to enter the market at about $11,500, kind of sitting in the middle at the top end of other power assists that are on the market, but we provide a lot more benefit than some of the other products that are out there. And I think the cost of disability is a lot more than just the unit. By having this compact footprint and the same as your manual chair, you don't have to change your countertops, your bathroom, your car. So there's a lot of other intrinsic changes that don't have to happen that'll save you money.
My understanding is that most people who use wheelchairs would have multiple chairs. So do you envision a world in which this would really be what people mostly have, or do you still think people would have multiple devices?
We would love to see a world of hybrid mobility where this became the standard and you were issued both and you could never get to the point of shoulder surgery or repetitive stress. Most people have a single chair that gets replaced every 5 years. And as they start to need that replacement and they have shoulder surgeries and shoulder injuries and aging, they would add in the power assist device. We also see a new user profile. Let's just start there, especially within our veteran population. Let's do a conversion quick. That literally takes 30 seconds. By popping the wheels off. I'm over my 3 minutes. Right? Sneaky, sliding it in. 2 quick release.
Thank you. Troy promised me he'd do that during the Q&A, but you know what? It was just a couple seconds, so I don't mind it. Yeah. All right. So thank you for that. We're going to head back over to our virtual side, and we have Aaron. Oops. No, I did something.
Hi, everyone. I'll just wait for that to come up.
Aaron from Split Atom Labs. Just give it one moment.
All right. Thank you for that. Hi, I'm Aaron Vernon, co-founder and CEO of Split Atom Labs. Like 60% of gamers, I play to ease my anxiety. When I learned that those who need this most are largely excluded, I was compelled to take action. I started Split Atom Labs to create accessible, cozy games that bring everyone the joy, relaxation, and sense of community they deserve. People with disabilities have told us they often feel anxious, bored, and lonely. Hit mobile games like Candy Crush and AFK Journey can provide a remedy, but people with disabilities either cannot play them or are vulnerable to their predatory monetization and toxic communities. Based on the global penetration of mobile games, we estimate there are 220 million potential mobile gamers whose needs are not being met. Given the revenue potential of games, there is a sizable opportunity here for both impact and revenue. We enable everyone to play with our innovative use of accessibility tech and inclusive design. Equally important is our steadfast commitment to fostering a safe and uplifting community. But what really sets us apart and excites us is enabling this community to create content inspired by their unique experiences. We have a great wedge in the market, and this has provided initial validation. Our iOS game, Land of Livia, has received hundreds of heartfelt reviews from our players who are blind. AppleViz called it a pioneering title in the realm of inclusive mobile gaming. What's more, we know startups. I was CTO of a digital product studio and played a key role in scaling it to 20 million revenue. It achieved a successful exit in 2022. We see two rising currents. One, increasing legislation of digital accessibility will put pressure on the games industry to adapt. And two, Gen Z is now the largest gaming cohort and are purpose-driven in their purchasing decisions. We have rebuilt our game to add support for low vision and neurodivergent players and are switching from freemium to free-to-play with an optional subscription. Next year, we plan to relaunch the game in partnership with large influencers that have deep ties to our audience. This will be our first major marketing push for the game. From here, we can grow with community content and expand to more disability segments and platforms. To really dominate the market, we will need content that is as diverse as our player base. And what better way to achieve this than building a creator marketplace that incentivizes our players to create and earn income. We're excited about our growth potential, but our core focus right now is reaching 100,000 ARR over the next 12 months. My co-founder and I handle product and engineering. We have deep expertise in engagement and monetization. We reimagined the Facebook professional experience for over 200 million businesses and creators. We also have a solid bench of creative contractors, most of whom identify as disabled or neurodivergent. We have been 100% bootstrapped so far, but now we need help to get us to the next level. We are seeking $150,000 USD to fund influencer marketing, development of continued game updates, and marketing collateral. I will leave you with some heartfelt words from people who have found solace in our game. Our early product is impactful. Now we need to bring it to more people.
Tell us about the magic in this particular game. Why is this particular game so fabulous and needs to be rolled out?
Great question. So I think at the beginning, it really comes down to our how we use inclusive design from day zero. That's what sets us apart. But as far as specifics in terms of this audience, we've heard from our players who are blind that they love to be able to play alongside everybody else. That's what's different about our game. There's lots of games that are very simplified or the audio-only games. Our game is a full experience. And so we've heard things like some in-game actions such as inventory management and map navigation are disproportionately challenging for players without sight. This is where we add smart co-pilot-like features like auto-equip to streamline the gameplay experience without unbalancing it or sacrificing the depth. We're also, next month, we're looking to integrate Apple Intelligence to help with world navigation. And I think another way to look at it is that we really optimize every single swipe from the screen reader for this audience. We optimize that in the same degree of depth that an e-commerce company would optimize the number of clicks required to purchase.
I may have missed this at the end, but can you just clarify the ask again for us?
Yeah, sure. It's 150,000 USD. The majority of that, 60%, will be spent on influencer marketing, and we have some conversations in progress that have informed that number. 25%, I believe, 25% on continued development, and that's based on our contracting costs from this year and stepping it up a little bit, and then 15% on marketing collateral to go with that launch. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for dealing with some of those technical challenges. So last but certainly not least, we have Alexander joining us from Testa Seat. Alexander was going to try to join us in person and made a really good effort there, but due to the snow, it was a challenge. So thanks, Alex.
Sure, thank you. You can hear me, you can see the presentation?
Yes.
Great. So hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'm the founder of Testa Seat. Working in children's hospitals for 10 years, I learned the power of seating. It brings us together at meals, in events, and during family moments. Seating opened the door to traveling and sharing joyful moments. But for 12 million children with disability, seating is daily battle. Without seating, daily activities became impossible, and poor seating can lead to spinal deformations and serious health issues that cost in average 1.6 million per child. The problem is the current options are bulky, not supportive, and expensive, and the insurance only covers one product every 5 years, leaving 90% of the families with limited or none options. With minimal design, Testa Seat can provide a superior support and replace many products offering families flexibility, independency, and key to unlock opportunities. Our secret is the powerful customization platform that makes it possible to tailor together with the therapist the optimal seat and then 3D print it at the same day. And dramatically reducing the costs, we are creating a new space in adaptive seating market by offering custom seats for $750, size products for $450, and renting program for $19 per month, delivering unmatched value. Leading therapists across 20 states already used and trust Testa Seat. We secured 180 in grants and investments, generated 1K in revenue, and we are supported by the leading disability organizations like Alpha Lab Health, Remarkable, and ATS Labs in US, Canada, and Australia. Our team is dedicated transforming children's lives through innovation. We are addressing a critical gap in an 800 million adaptive seating market, where 90% of the need still unmet. Using the same innovation approach, we aim to expand into the 10 billion wheelchair market. We expect to break even next year and reach out 5.5 million in revenues within 5 years. To make it happen, we are looking for warm introductions to children's hospitals, clinics, schools, and charities. And we're looking for 300,000 in Safe Note to scale the operation, secure reimbursement, and enter the wheelchair market. With the prize money, we will donate more seats to those who need them the most and grow our community. Thank you, and join us making seating accessible for millions of children and their families. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. I understand that cost is a big barrier for a lot of families looking for solutions here, but given that it looks like your target demographic right now is children, and as they age, there's going to be a lot of sort of anatomical changes over time. Does that affect, the reduction in pricing and affordability for families to need to buy it maybe every 2 to 3 years as their children grow and change, and there's just a lot of, customization that's going to be required over time?
Yeah, so the first approach is we're reducing the prices. So if you look at the custom products, we fraction of the price of the custom products and half and less than the non-custom products. But this is also the reason, actually, the thing that you're saying that children are growing and they need the different sizes, we started the rental program. So parents paying down $100 and then $20 per month. When they need the new seat, we will ship them the seat and ship back the old seat. So we're trying all the time to renew the approaches, how to solve this issue. And the rental program will show us also some opportunities.
Maybe just to end off, can you expand a little bit more on your distribution strategy? Do you anticipate selling this online through hospitals? And I guess, what are your current methods of distribution?
So the end goal would be also to be reimbursed by the insurance and be on the insurance reimbursement system. At this moment, we are focusing on the private therapists, therapy clinics, occupational and physical therapy clinics. We're distributing them the demo kits. They're using the demo kits. They're also buying the equipment. So they are also our customers. But then all the families that visiting them and they can try out the product, they can feel the product, they actually can buy it directly from us, or we're making the customization with the families. The other way that we will also distribute it's online and probably on Amazon in the future. For the size products. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we've reached the end of our pitches. So yes, with that, thank you so much to all of our startups that were here part of the Access to Success cohort in 2024. Thanks to everyone who joined us in person and virtually as well. As you know, it's voting time, so we have our People's Choice vote. So please go ahead and scan this QR code. You can also visit bit.ly/ATS vote, and that will get you to a form where you can vote for your startup that you'd like to win our People's Choice Prize of 2,000 Canadian dollars. And you can also specify any of the startups that you'd like to connect with. So we just want to be able to connect you directly with them. So if you can fill that out on the form as well, that would be great. So we'll give everyone a couple moments to do that. And while that's going on, Varun has a couple of announcements that he'd like to share. And our judges are going to go off and deliberate for first place and second place. So we'll have them go off and do that.
For the 2024 cohort, congratulations. You made it. You're here. Huge round of applause to all of you folks. They've spent a lot of time doing a lot of hard work in addition to running the businesses and trying to grow their businesses, participating through ATS Labs these last few months. And it's somewhat strange for me to say this, given that I'm, I think, younger than most of you, but I'm just so proud of all of you. It's been such a pleasure, such privilege to be a small part of a journey, and so thank you for letting the ATS team do that for you. So hopefully everybody's done voting, and I know that it's been a long afternoon, but there are a few exciting things that I did promise in our emails that I said that I'll share. So to begin with, this is a piece of news that a lot of you might have already seen online, but Access to Success is receiving the Zero Project Award 2025. Thank you. Thank you. The Zero Project Award is awarded by the Zero Project based out of Austria. It is a global award that recognizes solutions that contribute significantly to advancing the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and stand out for their innovation, impact, and scalability. Their words, not mine. This year, 77 innovative solutions were selected out of 522 nominations, and they will receive the Zero Project Award as well as present their solutions. So in our case, the ATS Labs Accelerator at the next Zero Project Conference in March 2025 in Vienna, Austria. So I'm very much looking forward to that. The next piece that I wanted to share with you is something that's been in the making for the better part of 2 years. I am extremely proud and extraordinarily excited to introduce the Accessibility Investments Database. AID is the world's first database of investments in the accessibility startups. We know that finding mission-aligned investors, relevant investors that would take a shot at investing in accessibility and impact-oriented startups is a challenge for every entrepreneur in this space. We know this because it's by far the most frequent request for support that we receive. And we've been working very hard behind the scenes on trying to address that. We have over 1,800 unique investment transactions in early stage accessibility startups in this database, with over 900 companies, over $7.8 billion worth of funding transactions. And this is just North America. This is the transaction view that's up on the screen right now. So you will be able to sort by transactions. You'll also be able to sort by investors. We've got over 1,200 unique investors in this database, including full profiles, their locations, description, websites for more than 300 investors. And all of this is cross-referenced to the transactions. So you can sort by transaction categorization, transaction data. You can look for investors based on their location, however you might need. Some things that I wanted to share here, some things that took me by quite a bit of surprise, to be honest, because this data is purely based on Crunchbase and PitchBook, which are very large, very well-known databases. And so it surprised me that the top 10 cities for transactions taking place, the first one is Toronto. I know I work in Toronto, so I have a bias here, but I was as surprised as anybody else to see that. Toronto has the highest concentration of fundraising activity in the accessibility sector. In fact, 4 of the top 10 cities are Canadian, and the next 2 are also Canadian. Again, it took me by a huge amount of surprise to see that the top cities with the highest concentrations of investors who have made more than one investment in accessibility startups is also in Toronto. That was amazing for me to see that. Similar to cities, 4 of the top 10 investors are based out of Toronto, and the next 3 are also Canadian. You'll see in the top list of top 10 investors, 4 of these listed here are Canadian-based investors, and that is a testament to the level of impressive, scalable, investable entrepreneurship and innovation activity happening in accessibility startups in Canada. You can access this database today for free, because like I've been saying, it's time we enable everyone. You can use the QR code to access it, or you can go to accesstosuccess.ca/aid, and you can access this entire database of more than 1,800 transactions for free, no strings attached. But as they say, that's not all. I did promise 2 major announcements. The second piece of information that I'm really excited to unveil today is called the Center for Accessibility Innovation. It will be Canada's first innovation hub dedicated exclusively to accessibility startups. It will include a co-working space. Didn't I say in the beginning that the current component is virtual? Going forward, we will have an in-person innovation hub with a co-working space, a corporate innovation stream, community events and engagement, the startup accelerator, which is ATS Labs, continued in a hybrid format, and grant funding. This location will be coming to downtown Toronto in spring or summer 2025, and I'm delighted to share that, again, we are not doing this on our own. We are ever grateful for our partners, George Brown College, which I am proud to introduce as our partner for the first time as the co-host of this innovation space. The equipment, including laptops, monitors, all office equipment will be supplied thanks to a donation from HP, and CIBC, as you met, is a proud sponsor. I'm also excited to introduce Kite at the University Health Network as a strategic partner of ours, in addition to Hello Health, which is an angel investor network comprised of physicians, as our scientific partner, and Dentons, the world's largest law firm, as our legal partner. There's a lot coming, and I'm excited to work with all of you in making Canada a world leader in accessibility innovation. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Do you want me to go 1, 2, 3, or 3 to 1? All right, I'm going to begin with number one. I'm thrilled to introduce to you the first place winner of ATS Labs 2024, 119, Jen. Come on over. And in the second place today, we have Baby Zips. I think she had to step out, so we're going to give her a certificate afterwards. And for the People's Choice Award, I'm thrilled to introduce, to congratulate, Testa Seat. Can we get, do you think we can get Alexander up on the screen?
Thank you.
There we go. We see you, Alexander. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that brings me to closing. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the ATS Labs Demo Day. Thank you.